Hey everyone, it's Lineage Devotee here again with another 40k Conquest on OCTGN video. I'm trying out Broderick Worr. I'm having a little bit of fun going back to Worr now that everyone's sort of moved on from him. I'm up against Subject Omega, played by No Frag Limit, and oh no, it's Swarmlord, isn't it? It's Swarmlord, sorry, not Subject Omega, with a Gravid Tervagon, so I'm expecting a lot of Termagant tokens here. We have a really nasty board here, 5 blue planets in a row, which means things are going to be rushing along. There's a couple of green planets, which is nice, but only 2 out of 5, which isn't the best. So I'm going through, having a look through my cards here to make my decision. I've got the forward barracks, which is obviously really good. 3 1-cost command sort of units, which is quite good, and a Snakebite Thug. I'm pretty happy with all of this. I've even got the Seal of the Rose, which is really good if he does drop in an elite. It's I believe it's a 0-cost attachment, but if I put it on something like a Ratling or a Shrine Guard, they're 1 cost, and if he swings at me with an elite, if he puts in a Ymgarl or some other Striking Ravener maybe, then if it hits whatever's wearing the rose, it has to take a damage of 4 to itself to be able to live with that. So Bone Sabers is his opening deploy, which is his signature attachment. It goes on the Warlord, gives the Warlord +1 attack, and also every time he kills a unit, he gets to put in a Termagant token, so that's really potent for him. He is going to have so many tokens. So it's a green planet on the first planet, so I decide I'll put the Ratling. If he wants to come there, it's going to be a 2 damage points. Not the hugest thing in the world, but just, you know, a little bit of something. I'm a bit worried that he's going to load things onto planet 1, because I don't know if I've got enough to overwhelm him. He puts Scything Hormigants, 2 cost, 1 command, 2/2 onto the second planet, but it allows him to infest Carnath, which is really strong. And I decide I'm going to really put everything I can into this first planet. I'm thinking 3 planets in a row is either of us, one of us is going to have won by planet 5. You know, it's going to go quickly. He puts in a Hellgaunt, the Black Crusade card, 1 cost, 1 command, 1 attack, 1 HP, but at an infested planet, like where it is now, it gains an attack and 2 hit points, so it's a 2/3 for 1 cost, which is really, really, really good. So he's got a strong presence on Carnath already. And now things are looking a little more tricky for me. Do I want to put in Captain Marcus as a control element onto planet 1? Do I want to pause for a moment and put out my location, but I'm a bit worried about Clogged with Corpses turning up. I decide to go for the Rogue Trader right down the end, +1 resource on a 2 card planet, so that's nice. Bit of command, what do you call it, making up for, I guess? Alright, so that was fast and furious. I hope I caught up relatively well and kept you up to date with what's happening, but now we sort of pause for a second and see what comes next. And it's a Brood Warriors, his signature unit, 2 cost, 1 command, 2/2. All Termagant tokens at this planet gain a command icon. So he's equalized my command, and if any Termagants show up there, it'll be beating my command, which is pretty solid, pretty effective. At that point I put out the forward barracks, which is a 2 cost support, and after a combat round finishes, if I have a Imperial Guard unit at that planet, I get to put a token in ready for the next round. It is very, very powerful. So I'm going to go to planet 5 and guarantee my command. I'm expecting him to go to probably planet 2 or possibly planet 1 with his Warlord. The Tervagon could go anywhere. He might send it down to planet 5 as well, or he might start putting tokens down earlier along the planet array. I'm not 100% sure where I expect him to go. So he's chosen a Warlord, he's chosen a Synapse. I am good, and oh, he's not sure, he's rethinking, he's considering. There we go, he's done, and he sends his Warlord to planet 1, which, yep, is very, very solid. Reasonable choice. I get my command down the end. His Tervagon goes to planet 2, where he's going to be able to put in 2 tokens rather than the usual 1, because it's an infested planet, and the Tervagon likes infested planets. So that's quite good. He also gets another one from the Swarmlord, so he's got 3 tokens onto that planet already. That's pretty intense. He gets 2 command as opposed to my 1. So I'm going to be able to hit the Swarmlord for 2, and then I might be able to keep my Shrine Guide alive and hit him for 3. Not sure if I'm going to be able to do enough damage there. But I pull a Talon Raider and a Catachan Devils. Now these Catachan Devils, I have to say, are quite an impressive unit. So we'll show you what they can do in a moment. So Iridial's the first planet. If I can't kill his Warlord, it's going to be healed. I hate fighting an Iridial. I always forget that actually, if I don't finish off a unit, it's going to be fine. So I've got to really put everything into it. The Ratling with ranged swings for 2 against the Swarmlord. Just got to remind him that it's a green planet and therefore they get the bonus +1 attack from Broderick Worr. So that's nice. Alright. He's got no actions, neither do I. And he's going for the Ratlings because they are a little bit softer. He wants to guarantee he gets a Termagant token out of it. So he's declared a unit as a defender. As an interrupt, I put in the Catachan Devils Patrol. I do have to pay for them 2 resources. Now, he can cancel his attack, so I don't get damaged, or he can take 2 damage from the Devil's Patrol and continue his attack. So he's got to decide if he wants to take the damage and kill the Ratling, or let the Ratling live and not take any damage. But the Catachan Devils costing 2, 1 command, 2/2, getting +1 attack from Broderick Worr at a green planet, they're going to be able to swing for 3 in a second. Swarmlord just exhausted himself, so he's going to take a hit of 3 from the Devils and 3 from the Shrine Guard. And then he is either going to stay, in which case he's probably going to get hit a couple more times by 3 damage, or he's going to have to run away, in which case he won't be able to trigger Iridial and heal up the damage that he's taken. So really nasty decisions for him at this point. He's up to 4 damage on the Swarmlord, but he did generate a Termagant. But I am ignoring that Termagant. I don't care about that Termagant. I want to smash the Swarmlord as much as possible, and he's actually bloodied. I was quite shocked. I expected him to have at least some form of shielding and retreat, keep himself hale, but ooh, that's pretty rough. He is now bloodied. And this allows me to kill the token pretty easily with my Catachan Devils. If he puts a point of damage onto the Shrine Guard, they will die as soon as they go back to HQ. So let's see what decision he makes here. He does. He goes for the Shrine Guard to put on the point of damage. And now one of the other things that perhaps he shouldn't have triggered his reaction is that I'm going to use my Devils to kill that Termagant. There we go. 3 attack onto a 1 hit point token is very unlikely to survive, but that means it's the end of a combat round. I have no ready units to win the planet, which means I get to trigger the forward barracks, which means I get to put in a token onto that first planet. Now, it's not a big deal, it's not a lot, but it does just mean there is 1 extra token that there might not have needed to be. And with Broderick Worr being Hale, they are 2/2s on green planets, which is quite potent. Being Iridial, I'm going to heal that Shrine Guard before it goes to HQ. I'm pretty sure that's how Iridial works, order-wise. I'm pretty sure I get to save it before it would die, which obviously, terrible outcome for him there. That's really, really rough on, what is it, no frag limit. Really difficult. Over to Alloth, I'm fighting the Brood Warrior. I'm going to kill it, or I'm going to try and kill it. It dies, so very straightforward, and then I'm going to pick one of the cards from my top 3. I don't like to just go and start searching in case they do have something they can throw into the mix. But yep, he's done, so I'm all good. Summary Execution, Preemptive Barrage, or the Emperor's Warrant, all of which are really potent, powerful cards. But actually, I think, being that the next planet is not green, and then the third planet is green and will be my initiative again. Oh no, won't be my initiative. I think I'm going to use Summary Execution to try and really emphasize my ability to get the next planet. And Broderick Worr, he made, no, Frank made a comment that Broderick Worr is really good. He really, really is. What's impressive, I think, is that even with big, massive elites and new stuff that's come out, people moved on to new ideas, but Broderick Worr still seems to be really good with pretty similar to the original sort of plans that he had. So I've got a ton of units, but I've only got 5 resources, so I'm not sure how many of them I can play. And I've got my Summary Execution. So really I need to go all in on the first planet and just... I'm going to have to hope for the best. I do know I'm going to be turning it green, so I know I'm going to be able to hit for 2 with the Rattlings, and that's... every time I deploy something I'm thinking, okay, it's going to be it's going to have that +1 attack, it's going to have that +1 attack. Another Hellgaunt on the planet, so he's getting some really efficient stats onto the board here. 1 cost for a 2/3. So Summary Execution requires my Warlord to be at the planet, so I'm going to have to go to Planet 1 myself, but that does mean I'll have so many Astra Militarum units that I should be able to start generating Guardsman tokens, and that I think is going to help me out as well, because once you start generating those tokens it becomes a really nasty race to try and stop them, to get rid of them all before the end of a combat round. So hopefully that will be able to help out a lot. I'm down to 1 resource left, so I'm not able to put out the Thug or Captain Marcus, which is a bit of a shame. So that's all I'm able to put out ready. I'm going to have to take quite a few hits on Planet 1 before I get to generate tokens, but I'm hopeful that particularly things like the Anxious Infantry Platoon will be able to work on that. So the Infantry Platoon is a 2-cost signature unit with 1 command. He's a 3/3 because he actually has a negative side. I have to pay a resource or he will retreat from an... well, that's all it says, is I must pay a resource or he will retreat at the end of a combat round. But the thing is, if it's a green planet, Broderick Worr makes all Imperial Guard units unable to be retreated or routed. So, yeah, the negative side is why they get away with the stats for the ability, but when he's on a green planet he's a 4/3 that can't retreat or rout for the cost of 2, which is amazing. It puts a Flesh Boar onto the Hellgaunt, +1 attack and HP, so it's a 3/4 now. It allows you to infest a planet after you win a command struggle, which isn't as great as you might think. For a similar cost but less cards, you can just use the Toxic Venom Throat, which after you win a command you can infest the planet, so pretty similar, but unless there was some sort of attachment synergy that the Tyranids had, something about returning attachments to play, actually that could be quite an interesting card, something like a not a digestion pool, but the same sort of idea of a pool where new biomorphs were morphed out, and so you got to return, you were able to play attachments from your discard pile as if they were in your hand or something like that. Could be really interesting. Of course, with Yimgarl factor, that would be just horrendous. So, yeah, might be worth balancing, but I think that could be an interesting idea to try and increase the use of biomorphs, particularly in Tyranids. I think would be good. I would like to see them have lots of weird bioengineered creatures. But there we go. So I've had to go to Planet 1 for my Summary Execution, and he's thinking about where to go. He doesn't want to go to Planet 1 in case I have a preemptive barrage for his Warlord, and he is now unable to generate any more termagants from his committing, so that makes things a little bit trickier for him, and he's got to think about where does he want to start putting some new tokens with his Tervagon. He could go to Planet 1 and just try to overwhelm me with tokens, but that's a lot of tokens he's going to have to put out. So, let's see what he decides. He goes to Planet 3, Aatrox. Aatrox being a really good choice. He's going to be able to ping all my stuff, which is a really good idea. And he goes to 4 with the Turvagon. The benefit of the Synapse, the huge benefit, is that you can just pick your command to choke, you know, like, well, maybe not choke, but to stall at least. So his Turvagon, having a 1 command hammer, is able to stop my Rogue Trader doing anything, and I'm unable to, you know, compensate for that within the deploy phase. I need to make it. I need to invest more into my command there to be able to ensure that I'm going to win it, which is tough. He gets the card and a resource from Aatrox Prime. I get a card and 3 resources. No, I'm reading that wrong. It does just say 1, doesn't it? I was about to say I don't think I get 3 resources. So I'm just pointing out to him that unfortunately his Warlord is bloodied on turn 1, so he doesn't actually get those termagants that he's put out. So he's going to have to take them back. So I'm just trying to politely say no to those tokens. And see, he's moving on to Karnath, so he has missed that. So I'm just going to point out these guys unfortunately can't be there. There we go. Yeah, I didn't want to be rude, but like, I also don't want you to get your termagants, I'm sorry. So that worked through. Okay, so I have initiative on Planet 1, which is nice. Yeah, it was very quick. He's not sort of mentally prepared to not be a Hail Warlord by turn 2. So I'm going to get rid of this token that's sitting off to the side. And is very useless. And the interesting thing with Summary Execution is that after you use it, it draws a card. So it replaces itself, which means it's a really cheap card in an effective sense. Alright, so we're now at a green planet, which means no one can retreat or be routed. Well, I can't be routed, but no one can retreat because Broderick Worr will kill you if you try and retreat from this planet. And all my units get +1 attack, which is very helpful. So, swinging with the Rattling at ranged for 2, I'm hoping to kill a Scything Hormigant to attack on a 2 HP unit, and I do. He may have had shields, but he may have decided it just wasn't really worth it. So 4 attack onto one of the bigger Hellgaunt. Again, if he has 1 shield, that'll keep it alive, which is fine, but I've got to try. I could have gone for the other Hellgaunt and had a better chance of killing it, because he would have needed a 2 shield to keep it alive. Yeah, there we go. So he uses Strip the Planet Dry, which I believe is another Black Crusade card, to keep it alive. Which is fine, makes sense. But that means he's able to swing with it. And he's going for my Warlord. He wants me bloodied because once Worr is bloodied, everything is a lot easier. So it's a 3 attack, so I use the Seal as a 2 shield. Just taking 1 point of damage there. Okay. The Talon Raiders, 1 cost, 1 command, 0 attack, 2 hit points, but +2 attack because the Warlord's at the same planet, or a Warlord's at the same planet. Let's just try and do some damage to a Hellgaunt. So they're actually 3 attack with the extra bonus from being a green planet, so that was enough to kill that Hellgaunt. I'm presuming he's probably out of shields at this point, or he probably would have kept that alive. So I take 1 more point of damage, then I kill off one of the tokens with Broderick Worr, and then he's able to do another point of damage on Broderick Worr. He really wants me to run away. That's what he's trying to drive at, but if I run away, he's able to retreat, and yeah, I'm not interested in that. So we got to the end of the combat round, and I'm able to generate another guardsman off the forward barracks. And he can't retreat, which I completely forget. Look, I tell him we're staying, because we have to. And I'm waiting for him to decide whether or not he retreats. But Broderick Worr says all army units at this planet will be destroyed if they retreat. So he can retreat if he wants, but it means they blow up, because my men just mow them down as they run. But I've completely forgotten that. See, up at the top there, army units that retreat. And then he points out he is grounded at Planet 1. He has to stay until I can kill them all, which I absolutely can do, so I'm going to. Dun 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 dun. Oop. So we're going to kill off the Hellgaunt. 3 attack onto 1 HP left, so yep, he's dead. It's probably going to go for Worr again, I assume. Yeah, and I take another point of damage. Kill off the other one. And then kill off the last one. Cool. Now, so Carnath. I've got to think carefully about what am I able to trigger with Carnath that's going to be benefit to me. Resources are good to get out more cards. Yeah, so that's my thought there. I'm thinking I want to make sure I can get out something like Marcus or as many units as I get in the next round as I can. I've got a huge swarm, which is great, and I need to be able to put them onto Planet 1. Basically, if I can get Planet 1 next, I will win, but any of the next planets are going to let me win also. And here we go, his forward planning. He got Aatrox, and he fires down at HQ. So I shield Broderick Worr, 1 point of damage on everything else, which means the Shrine Guard are dead, the Rattling is dead. Oop, there we go, the Rattling is dead, there we go. Nothing else is dead at the moment, but everything's just that much weaker and coming in exhausted, which isn't great for me. Alright, hopefully, if I can manage to mob that first planet, and I didn't draw many more units, which is a worry. Troop transport is really good, it's a green planet, so that's going to really help, but going to have a lot of exhausted, damaged units on this planet. I've got a Warlord that's close to bloodied, and if he gets bloodied suddenly, my anxious infantry are really, really weak. Well, not really, really weak, but they're going to run away really quickly. Everything's hitting just a little bit softer. Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned now. Things, if he can hold on another round or two, if he can hold me off here and maybe at the next planet, I don't know. I do not know what I'm going to be able to do. Luckily for me, he's feeling similar. He seems to not have drawn anything that's going to help him out on this first planet at this stage. So, okay, I might have a chance here. If he doesn't have something good to stop me on that first planet, I could have a shot. So let's see what he's able to put into play. Strangler Brood, 1 cost. It's one of his hive minds. 1 cost, 1 attack, 3 hit points. No command, which is intense. So I put in my troop transport. But the Strangler Brood gives each termagant token plus 1 attack, which the stats are all right for 1. He's got a good body, which helps. And if you've got a lot of tokens, plus 1 attack can be useful. But really, you want to combine them with the ranged ability of who gives them ranged? A Spiker Brood or something like that, and they are too expensive. I think they cost 3 resources and they have really low stats. So plus 1 attack, because otherwise you're just going to kill this thing, and to get rid of the bonus across all the termagants, and you really want them to have range so they can get all their attacks in before your opponent's able to kill off the brood. So I put in a Snakebite Thug. 2 cost, 3 attack, 4 hit points, but it deals itself a point of damage after it attacks. He's got a Synaptic Link whenever a Synapse unit goes to a planet, commits to a planet. The Synaptic Link allows you to draw cards. I put another Void Pirate onto Aluith to make sure if he puts his Synapse unit there, I still win the command. I put Captain Marcus onto Planet 1. Because Captain Marcus is just going to be helpful to control down what he's got. And then I'm going to Planet 1 because I want this to be over. He's going to 1 with everything he's got. It's his only chance at holding me off, but if I can kill off the Swarmlord, he's not going to be pleased. So I still win command there, because the Strangler Brood are not providing command, and I win command down the line on Aluith. But I draw almost nothing that's of any use. Synaptic Link does allow him to draw a card, even though because all it relies on is a synapse unit committing to a planet, which it did. And now in the command phase, see, one of the reasons Captain Marcus is so good, and I completely miss it, is in the command phase you're supposed to use Captain Marcus to sacrifice something and exhaust a unit, and in the combat phase sacrifice something and exhaust a unit. So you can do it twice. So I'm going to exhaust the +2 attack token by sacrificing that guardsman. He can exhaust non-warlord units, so he just sent those guardsmen rushing over the battlefield to just mob over the termagants. They die in the process, but they occupy the termagants, keep them out of our hair while we move up the rest of our forces. Brutal stuff. Alright, so he gets to swing first, and he's swinging with his warlord. He wants me bloodied. That's what he's going for. He's got 2 attack. If he can bloody me, it's great. But unfortunately, I'm able to shield that. Oh, actually, he's got 3 attacks still. He probably does. So he totally would have bloodied me otherwise, and that would have made things really difficult for me. But I'm still alive, and actually, I'm going to retreat. I want my Commissar to stay alive, so that I keep my bonus, which he's not going to be pleased about, really, I'm sure. I'm thinking he's going to call it pretty soon, because I've reached the stage where I'm just going to start putting on more tokens. So next turn, even if he killed a unit each turn, I'm going to be up a token. Yeah, I just don't think he's going to be able to do it. Alright, Snakebite Thug, go for the Warlord. Go for the Swarmlord. Okay. And Gravid Turvicon's going to attack. So what I'm saying is, even if the Swarmlord survives and he runs away, he's going to be able to kill 3 units, and I will have 2 on the board, and then I'll get up to 3. And I just think I'll be able to kill off one of his by then, and he'll be able to kill 2, but then I'll go up to 2, and just the maths of it won't work out for him, I don't think. But I think that's going to do it. He's only got 5 hit points. Yep. So I think I've got him there. So Broderick Worr, still a very, very effective warlord. So thanks to No Frag Limit for dealing with, wow, a really nasty little game there. I got a lot of really good draw that really helped. I hope you enjoyed that, and I will catch you next time. See you later.